This is the story of a spoiled child of a wealthy father who is so arrogant about his father's money that he considers others inferior to himself. He spends all his time indulging in parties, nightclubs, and a carefree lifestyle. But what happens when his easygoing life takes a drastic turn and lands him in a place where neither wealth nor status matters? Here, he faces a punishment that changes his perspective and identity forever. What kind of place is this? And what is the secret behind it? Let's uncover it in today's story. So, hello friends. Today's story begins with Grisha, the spoiled son of a rich man in Russia. Because of his luxurious lifestyle and arrogance, he spends all his time partying, going to nightclubs, considering himself superior. One night, Grisha drives his luxury car recklessly. On the way, a traffic policeman stops him, but Grisha's arrogance knows no bounds. He throws money at the officer as a bribe. However, the officer refuses the bribe and tries to stop the car. In the next scene, we see Grisha's father, Alexander, arriving at the police station because Grisha has been locked up. Alexander, already frustrated with his son's actions, talks to his friend, the police officer. The officer tells him that Grisha has become so spoiled, if something isn't done soon, Grisha will turn into a terrible person. Alexander gets Grisha bailed out but yells at him in anger. However, Grisha doesn't change his ways and arrogantly smokes a cigarette in front of his father, knowing he is the sole heir to his father's wealth. Disturbed by his son's insolence, Alexander leaves and meets his friend Annie, a TV producer, for advice. Annie introduces Alexander to Lev, a specialist in designing horror movie sets. Lev demonstrates his skills by showing Alexander a severed finger, which is actually a fake prop. Impressed, Alexander explains Grisha's behavior and, with Lev's help, devises a unique plan to reform his son. A few days later, as Grisha leaves a party, he sees a truck lifting his car, while chasing it, causing him to collapse. The next morning, Grisha wakes up in a stable, surrounded by horses. A man named Artyom splashes water on him to wake him up and orders him to prepare the horses before the master gets angry. Confused and disoriented, Grisha has no idea what is happening. Soon, a man named Avdej drags him outside, accusing him of not preparing the horses as instructed the previous night. Grisha insists he has never seen him before. At that moment, Dmitry, the landlord of the village, and his son Alexei arrive. Dmitry learns of Grisha's refusal to work. He warns Grisha that if the horse isn't ready before he finishes his tea, he'll be punished with 100 more lashes. Grisha is utterly baffled by the situation. Later, Artyom takes him back to the stable, where Grisha pleads for a phone to call his father, convinced that his dad will teach everyone a lesson if he finds out. Grisha is unaware of what is happening around him. Artyom sternly orders him to prepare the horse quietly, warning him that he will be whipped otherwise. Confused, Grisha tries to escape, but soon finds himself outside, surrounded by villagers. He asks them to call the police, but they seem unfamiliar with the concept of police. As he runs, he notices the environment resembles an 18th century Russian village. Despite his efforts to escape, the villagers led by Avdej capture him. As he is being taken to his punishment, the landlord Dmitry's daughter Alicia intervenes. She pleads with her father, saying, "It's my birthday today, and I don't want anyone to be executed." Dmitry grants her wish and spares Grisha's life. Unbeknownst to Grisha, a hawk circling above the village is actually a drone. The entire village is a staged setup orchestrated by Grisha's father. He has invested a significant amount of money to create this elaborate scenario, intending to reform his son. A TV producer, Annie, and her friend Lev, a horror movie director, have collaborated to create a realistic 18th century village. Every villager is an actor, hidden cameras are installed everywhere, and commands are given via microphones. A sniper is even stationed to sedate Grisha in case of any major disruption. Grisha, however, believes he has traveled back in time. The actors receive detailed scripts for every scene and are strictly instructed to avoid using anything modern. Alexei, who plays Dmitry's son, secretly meets his girlfriend Lisa, who is in charge of the horses but has a minor role in the plot. As days pass, Grisha's situation worsens. He is forced to sleep on the ground, wake up before sunrise, relieve himself in the forest, eat substandard meals, and endure whippings for the slightest disobedience. He grows increasingly frustrated but feels powerless. One day, while sitting in the fields, he hears someone crying. He discovers it is Alicia, who reveals that her father plans to marry her off to a wealthy old man. This is actually a ploy by director Lev to evoke compassion and love in Grisha, hoping it might reform him. However, Grisha casually remarks, "That's great. The old man will die soon, and then all the wealth will be yours," before walking away, leaving Alicia stunned. One day, Grisha steals one of Dmitry's chickens and asks Artyom to make soup with it. After the soup is prepared, Grisha eats it all by himself and doesn't share any with Artyom. When Avda learns about the stolen chicken, he gets angry and lines up all the servants, declaring that the thief should step forward or he will punish one of them by giving them 50 lashes. Avda then grabs Artem to punish him, but Grisha remains silent, even though Artem has always helped him as a friend. Later, Artem shows Grisha the lash marks on his back, which were actually created by a makeup artist. Despite seeing this, Grisha doesn't react much. At that moment, Lisa arrives on horseback, and as she dismounts, Grisha notices her and realizes she is wearing modern wear. This makes Grisha suspicious, and he forcefully confronts Lisa to investigate, but the villagers separate him from her, Lisa quickly riding away. Meanwhile, Alexander scolds Lev, saying that one actor's mistake could have revealed the truth to Grisha and ruined the entire project. He also criticizes Grisha for not improving his behavior and suggests ending the project. Just then, news comes that Grisha is searching for Lisa to apologize to her. Although Lisa's role in the project wasn't significant, Lev sees an opportunity in this situation. If Grisha shows even a slight change in behavior, the project could continue. Following Lev's orders, Lisa approaches Grisha with a wooden stick and keeps her distance, asking him to speak from afar. Grisha apologizes to her, compliments her beauty, and asks for her name. Lisa smiles and forgives him, but leaves without engaging in much conversation. Later, a grand festival is shown in the village, where Artem explains the festival's tradition to Grisha. If someone spends the night with someone special to their heart, they will stay together for life. During the festival, Grisha dances with the villagers. Alicia arrives and clings to him, declaring that she will never marry the rich old man. However, Grisha ignores her and goes to talk to Lisa instead. He confesses that he is from the future and starts talking about technology. Initially, Lisa ignores Grisha's words, but when she hears him talk about his loneliness, she shows sympathy and pretends to listen to him. Meanwhile, on Lev's command, Artem approaches Grisha and tells him. Hearing this, Grisha runs toward the lake and saves Alicia, who was pretending to drown, and brings her back to the village. According to the plan, Alicia tries to act romantically with him, but Grisha avoids her and leaves to find Lisa. He eventually reaches her house, as he wanted to spend the night talking to her. However, Lisa refuses and shuts the door. When Lev notices that Grisha is interested in Lisa, he decides to involve her as a key character in the project. However, Lisa's boyfriend, Alexei, is unhappy with this. Lisa explains to him that everyone is here to help Grisha become a better person, and that they are also being paid for it, so she will take on this role. The next day, a new twist unfolds. It is revealed that Alexei had gone to the city, gotten drunk, caused a commotion. The city officials plan to punish him the next day. However, the policeman who will administer the punishment doesn't know Alexei by face. To protect his son from the punishment, Dmitri asks Grisha to take the blame in exchange for freedom, good clothes, and good food. Desperate for his freedom, Grisha agrees. When he receives good food, Grisha saves some for Artem, making Artem very happy. The following morning, Grisha is publicly whipped. On the other hand, Grisha's father is distressed seeing this, but Annie, acting as a friend, explains to him that sometimes people need to go through such trials to change. After the punishment, Grisha goes to Dmitri's house, dressed in new clothes, to claim his promised freedom. However, Alexei is there and pushes Grisha down, mocking him for believing in their promise so easily. Alexei spits on him, and though Grisha gets angry and stands up, he leaves without retaliating. Lev and Alexander are disappointed, as they had hoped Grisha would at least fight for his rights. From this point, Grisha stops making any significant moves and begins working quietly in the stables. He starts spending more time with Lisa, and they engage in long conversations. Gradually, Grisha starts falling in love with her. One day, while walking together, they spot a drone resembling an eagle flying erratically, as though it's about to crash. Soon, a technician takes control of the situation and removes the eagle from the scene to divert Grisha's attention. To lighten the mood, Lisa begins to share how she has been observing the eagle for a long time and believes it to be a protective goddess watching over her. Meanwhile, Alexei and Alicia grow increasingly upset. Alicia is angry because the lead role was taken from her and given to Lisa, and Alexei is frustrated seeing his girlfriend Lisa spending time with another man. Grisha and Lisa happen to pass by and witness this. Seeing Alexei with Alicia, Lisa is heartbroken. When Lev learns about this, he scolds Alexei and Alicia harshly and kicks them off the set. To cheer Lisa up, Grisha decorates the stable with candlelight and prepares a special dinner for her. During their conversation, Grisha shares how, even after taking Alexei's punishment upon himself, he still wasn't granted freedom. He confesses that at one point, he wanted revenge on Alexei, but when he looked into Alexei's face, he saw himself, a man who truly felt others' pain. This revelation softened Grisha, and Lisa, moved moved by his emotions and humanity, kisses him. They express their feelings for each other and grow closer. Meanwhile, Alexander and the team watch this scene unfold and are thrilled. They believe Grisha is finally beginning to understand his mistakes and experience love. However, trouble brews in the real world when Alicia gives a shocking interview on a news channel, revealing that Grisha, the only son of a wealthy businessman, the guise of an acting project. Following this revelation, the police release an official statement announcing that a team will soon investigate the location. Hearing this, Alexander panics and insists that Lev shut down the project and evacuate everyone. Tension rises among the crew, but Lev remains determined, stating that they have time before the police arrive and can film one final scene. He believes this last scene will completely transform Grisha. In the meantime, Grisha and Lisa sit outside the village talking. Lisa reveals her fear that they may have to part ways after the project ends, but assures him that she will always remember him. Knowing she truly loves him, she wants him to know her feelings. Suddenly, our team arrives, alerting them that the village is under attack by Mongols. If everyone doesn't return to the village quickly, hearing this, Grisha panics and suggests fleeing the village. However, when Lisa and our team head back toward the village, Grisha reluctantly follows. Upon reaching the village, they witness the Mongol leader ordering his men to capture a beautiful young woman from the crowd. He now captures Lisa. Upon seeing this, Grisha is terrified, and Lisa begins shouting for Grisha to come to her aid. But he, scared, walks towards the stable and stands there silently. Seeing this, Alexander tells Lev that his plan won't work, and orders him to stop immediately since the police were about to arrive. Meanwhile, a sniper was ready to knock Grisha unconscious. Everything comes to a halt as this was the final decision. But seeing Grisha's silence, Lev starts to trust him, so he wants to see if Grisha will go to save Lisa. Lev sends a drone, shaped like a hawk, over Grisha to observe his actions. When Grisha notices the hawk, he recalls Lisa's words that the hawk is the protective goddess, which makes him believe that maybe the goddess also wants him to save Lisa. He then goes inside, grabs a wooden stick, mounts a horse, and sets off to rescue her. He attacks the Mongols and, after putting Lisa on the horse, they quickly flee towards the outskirts of the village. As they leave, the police arrive, starting to search for Grisha. But since Grisha is already far away, Lev, Annie, and Alexander easily convince the police that they were filming a movie, and the police believe them and leave. Meanwhile, Grisha and Lisa are already far from there. When they reach the edge of the forest, they see a gas station by the roadside. Grisha is shocked, not understanding what is happening, just as Lisa is about to explain everything to him. In the next scene, Grisha is shown standing near his car with the voice of his father echoing in his ears, telling him that he had been in a coma for the last 3 months. When he asked about the village and Lisa, they reacted as if they knew nothing. After that, Grisha tries to return to his old life. But now, he was no longer interested in parties and clubs as he used to be. Where he once spent hours having fun, everything now seemed meaningless to him. He decides to visit the police officer. Approaching the officer, he apologizes for his mistake and gifts him his luxury car. Amid the officer's surprise and joy, he leaves. One evening, while Grisha is at a club, he spots Alexei and Aglaya. He quickly approaches them and asks about Lisa, but Alexei and Aglaya act as if they have never seen him before. This makes Grisha believe that everything he experienced was perhaps just a dream he saw while in a coma. As he apologizes and begins to leave, they notice his state and decide to tell him the truth. They take him to a horse shelter where Grisha rushes inside and finally sees Lisa. Lisa is equally surprised to see him, and her heartbeat quickens. Grisha asks her if what she said in the village was true. Lisa replies with a yes and kisses him. Afterward, Grisha takes Lisa with him to his dad and Annie's wedding, where he congratulates them and hugs his dad, thanking him. He expresses his gratitude for everything his father endured to make him a better person, something Grisha will never forget.